Hey everybody, this is Brad from Johnson Small Engines, better known as the one-hand mechanic. If I can do it, you can too. Today we have here a John Deere X300 series. This one is a crank but no start, and I want to kind of go from the top to bottom. You need many things for an engine to run, and I just want to comb over what you need first, and then we'll get to the issue. The first thing you want to do if it cranks but doesn't start is you want to check to make sure you have gas. That's a simple thing, and with the X300 series, you can come around to the back of the gas tank on most of them, I'm pretty sure, and you can see the level. All you gotta do is rock it. This one here has at least a quarter tank of gas, which is good. This one here has been around for a while. I'm gonna show you the hours on it for how many hours this thing has. And this one has 727.8 hours on it. So this has definitely been around. And when you get to this age, this component that fails will actually fail. It actually fails sooner than later on some models. But the next thing you want to check, I'm going to go ahead and take this hood off, and this hood here is about ready to fall apart. So bear with me, hopefully it won't fall apart. We're just going to go ahead and lift the hood off the front of the tractor. Next thing you need is you need compression, you need fuel, and you obviously need air. So if you don't have a compression tester, which most of you guys won't, the easiest way to check compression is to just turn over your engine by hand. Now this is going to be hard because you're going up to your piston's going to a compression stroke, and you can feel it. It's going to be stiff, and then it gets really easy, and then it's going to get hard again. That's a compression stroke. If this spins real easy, now you're going to have some resistance because there are two belts, so there's one transmission drive belt that's connected to this that you're going to have resistance, but you should feel it get hard and stiff, and you're going to probably need two hands to get it to turn over all the way. You can feel that right there. That's compression. Let me just show you that it does crank, but it does not start. I'm going to go ahead, try to start it, choke up, choke off, try without choke, maybe half throttle, choke again, choke. All right, does not start. So what you want to do next, since we know we have compression just by feel, or you can use a compression tester and pull out your spark plugs. The next thing you could do really quickly to check spark is if you remove your air filter, and this is if you don't have spark testers. If you put gas down the throat of the carburetor, you do need to take off this right here, and you can just wiggle this up. Just be careful you don't get any debris. This is going to open up the throat of the carburetor right here. Now to check spark, you can do it the correct way would be to pull your spark plug wires, and this is a twin cylinder, so you have two, one on each side, and use spark testers to check the spark. The easy way to find out if you have spark, and if you do have compression, you're going to pour a little bit of fuel in here. I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit of gas inside here. I don't really recommend this because it could backfire out of here if you do have spark and something else is going on here, so you got to be careful. But if you are sitting on the machine, it shouldn't hurt you. If it does backfire, we're going to go ahead and give this a shot. I'm not going to put the choke on because it has plenty of fuel right there. Obviously it's not starting, which means that we don't have spark. The other way you can check spark would be to do it the correct way using a spark tester. Let me go ahead and put this back on again. The other way to check is pull your spark plug wires off each side. Now you could check, normally a twin cylinder engine, you will not have both spark plugs that fail. I'm going to go ahead and pull one out just to take a look at it. And I'm pretty sure that these should be, these are either new, can't remember now, put new ones in or not. Yeah, that's pretty much brand new spark plug there. You can also, to check spark, you can put your spark plug back in the boot, click it in. You can lean it up against somewhere grounded, and then you can crank it over and look for spark right in at the diode right there. Let's give that a shot. Okay, I don't see any spark there. Just gonna go ahead and reinstall that. Okay, so we know 100% it does not have spark, but for everybody out there who it did fire up on the gasoline that you put in a carburetor, you either have a bad fuel pump, or you have a clog in your carburetor, or you can have a clog in your fuel line. So at that point, you're gonna have to go from there, clean out your fuel line back to the tank. Then you're gonna go ahead and check your fuel pump, which is right here. And an easy way to check your fuel pump is to just take off this hose right here. So what I'm gonna do is just show you. You can take off the clamp here. We were cranking this over, so we might have a little bit of remnants coming through here. It shouldn't be flowing out of here because the gas tank is below the pump. So what I'm going to try to do is this is just a little piece of fuel line I have. This is going to check to see if we have flow coming out. Oop, it actually does have some pressure behind it right there. Just a little bit, which means it's working. Just going to go ahead and put that on. Hopefully you guys will be able to see this. Should be able to crank it. And you see it flowing when you crank it. That means it's pulsing. All right, so we know the fuel pump is good. And this is for everybody that has spark, but it still won't run. So at this point, you know the fuel from the tank is coming up into the fuel pump and going out the fuel pump. If it runs with fuel that goes in the carburetor, and this is okay here, then you know you have a carburetor blockage. The carburetor is going to have to come out. Also, you can check right here. This is a fuel shutoff solenoid, and sometimes they fail. So you can hear when you turn the key on, you might be able to hear this. When you turn the key on, it clicks. I'm not sure if you can hear that. That is actually pulling down a piston that's inside this fuel shutoff solenoid, and that may be also a failure point. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and put the fuel line back on. Normally, twin cylinder engines will not have two ignition coils that fail at the same time. I'm going to go ahead and put spark testers on here so you can see both sides. These are inline spark testers. I've been using them for years. You guys can use whatever spark testers you can get a hold of. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to purchase some of these. It's good to have if you're going to be working on your own machines, just to check spark very easily, and you don't have to worry about getting shocked. Just put them in line. Okay, so on this side is the right side. We're going to go check spark here. We have nothing. We're going to check spark on this side, left side. Nothing. At this point, I'm going to show you that what fails. Okay, so what happens through time is this is the electronic box that controls the ignition, and it probably controls other things, but I do know that if this fails, you'll lose both. You'll lose both of your ignitions on both sides. So we're going to go ahead and use a 10mm socket and take this down. Be careful you don't lose the bolt, which I normally do. And then there's two tabs that this sits into, so you just pull it down, and the tabs are on the back right here, and they just fit into the grooves up in here. You kind of just have to feel your way, and then they'll get in there. All right, so when you put it back up in there, they should be sitting in those tabs. So we need to get this off. It's going to be easier for everybody out there with two hands, but you just basically push down right here, and then you're going to pull that out. So this is the electronic module. These will fail, all right? I always have a used one from an old machine that I always keep on hand just to make sure before I buy a new one. Now, there are aftermarket ones for these that you can buy. I'll put a link in the description for both of them, the aftermarket and the OEM one, if you want to purchase one just for backup. I didn't hear a whole lot of good news on the aftermarket ones, but they sell a ton of each one of them. Put the tabs back in. Now you're going into plastic, so you got to be careful you don't over tighten that. And then just make sure you're locked in, make sure it's not going to fall out. At this point, just going to go ahead and crank it. It's most likely going to start up and run because we did flood this thing with a whole bunch of gasoline. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to let it idle. I'm not going to put the choke on. I'll just crank it over. You can take a look at the one spark tester and see if it has spark. Okay, so it has spark on the left. As you can see on the right, it has spark on the right. So that was pretty much it for how to diagnose a no-start condition and it cranks. And I did go over a lot of other stuff just because of the fact that this might help other people. You know, if you have the other issues now, if your engine is spinning freely, if your engine by hand is spinning very freely, that normally means that you most likely, the motor inside had what I call blown up or it actually let loose. Make sure you're checking your oil levels and make sure it's where it's at. And with the Kawasaki engine on here, we do not screw in the dipstick to check it. You just unscrew it. You just make sure you have it right on top. Pull it out, wipe it off, check it, do that a couple times, make sure you're where you're supposed to be. Okay, so the tools that I used today, we had the AM141075 from John Deere, or you can get this aftermarket also. I'll put links in the description below for them. A couple extensions. This is a 13/16 spark plug socket that I used. 7mm to get the air filter off, 10mm to get the igniter out of its spot, 2 ignition testers. If you can't use ignition testers, you can always take the spark plug out and, like I said, lean it on its side. I used a piece of fuel line just to show you that the fuel pump was working. This is a nice clip removal tool. I use this for a whole bunch of stuff. I'll put this in the link in the description below. Pair of pliers, 3/8 ratchet. I always use my 1/4-inch electric ratchet. There is a compression tester right here. I don't expect everybody or anybody really as a DIYer, unless you're a mechanic, to have a compression tester. So just do as I do and make sure you have compression on the engine before you move any further. If you need to, you might be able to hit your auto zone if you have one in your area, or you might be able to rent a compression tester or just, you know, ask a friend. Glass container that I use to put the fuel in. So that's pretty much it for the tools. Okay, so that pretty much wraps it up for how to diagnose and repair a no-start condition where the engine will crank over but it will not run. On an X300 series, this will work for almost all of the X300 series with the I will put a list of them on the screen here that we'll work with. If you guys need any information on changing your transmission drive belt on the X300 series, and also if you come across it won't drive, there is a pulley repair in the back that I also have a video on. So I'll put them in the link in the description below. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe, share my channel with your friends, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.